Okay, again, we're going to start with one scripture. That's Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. As we perfect our understanding relative to a tremendously powerful tool that has been placed in our hands, and that is the sigil, sigil magic, working sigils, okay? But again, this is new territory for us. And I realize that the ancestors realized it. So we have to broaden, deepen, heighten, and expand our understanding and our comprehension as it relates to the power of these sigils. Sigils are a condensed singular language. It is language condensed into a singularity. Very powerful if you just think about it. If you just meditate on the knowledge that we've attained thus far and the level of understanding that we've attained thus far. Very powerful. Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. And there are many scripture verses that are related to that central verse. That's a powerful statement. And it relates to all of the scriptures. The knowledge is hidden relative to the Bible in all scriptures that relate to the tongue, the lips, the mouth, the fruit of the lips, the head, the face or countenance, breath, wind, etc., and so on. We're going to perfect our understanding of that, at least to the extent that we can do it in this session. But it will be laid out, and the science behind this will be laid out because, and this is fundamental to our purpose, family, in creating a new heavens and new earth. We're going to look at the Genesis creation process as it was, of course, um, illustrated in the allegorical narrative of the Bible, and how other sacred texts, so-called sacred texts, uh, illustrated this. And we're going to take a look directly at the sacred science that reveals all of this. All right, so we're going to take a holistic, comprehensive look into this statement: death and life are in the power of the tongue. In doing this, I've put up a scripture from Hebrews, the 13th chapter, verses 14 through 16. This 13, Hebrews 13, should be a signal to us. I don't want to get too esoterically deep, but I got to mention this. That 13, because this is obvious. 13 relates to so many things, specifically the 13th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which is Mem and Mem Sophi. That's going to be key a key symbol for us. All right. A key symbol for us. And 13 is a transcendent number, as we mentioned yesterday. It is a transition. It means a transition from one world to the next, from one level to the next, whether upward or downward. 13 represents a transition from one world to the next. The letter Mem and Mem Sofit represent the emanation process from beginning to end. And we're going to study that today. And emanation is going to be our guide. So 13, the letter of transition, the Christ energy, the energy of ascension, the energy of transition from one thing to another. Again, whether from a top-down perspective or a bottom-up perspective. Transition from one level to the other. Just keep that in mind. Hebrews 13:14 through 16. For here we have no continuing city, and we seek one to come. So we know that this city that is being referred here is the New Jerusalem, the New Zion, all right? The New Jerusalem. That is referring to the land of Canaan, the land flowing with milk and honey. Now, again, this is not a physical location. This is an energetic frequency that we must reach, where we will be capable of creating a new heavens and new earth. Is everyone with me now? The scripture says, currently we have no continuing city. And then it says, but we seek one to come. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise. This is going to be important as we talk about this within the framework of the power of the tongue. This act of praise or thanksgiving is fundamental. We won't get to this till later, but it's included here because the writer knew that it was fundamental. Offering the sacrifice of praise, thanksgiving to God continually. That is the fruit of our lips, the power of the tongue, the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to his name. This act of thanksgiving, todah in the Hebrew, is going to be fundamental. And I'll walk you through this. But to do good and to communicate, again, power of the tongue. Forget not, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. There are things that get things done. There are certain acts from the physical that get things done in terms of pulling energy from the heaven. Thy will be done in heaven, pulling that energy from heaven to have it take form in the earth. There are certain things that work much better than others. With such sacrifices, God is well pleased. God is well pleased. Your higher consciousness aligns with more perfectly We're going to lay the science out of this today. Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock of Oreb, or Horeb. I want to show you all something as well. This word Horeb, or Oreb, I think, is how they spell it in the scriptures. Let's see if we can find it. Yes, this word Horeb or Oreb, all right, that we just read, standing upon the rock of Oreb. It is H6159. It is Orav or Orab. Listen.
Strong's H, 6159, first entry, Orave.
Orave. All right.
Second entry, Orave.
They said it's the same as H. It's H6159, but it's the same as H6158. And it means raven. All right. It means raven, which is a blackbird. Follow me now. I'm going to show you something before we go into the study. It's from 6158. Or rave, which means a raven or a crow. All right? A raven or a crow from its dark, black, or dusky hue. It means a raven or a crow. I'm going to show you all that we're right at the end. Okay? I'm going to pause it because I want to find the video of this, and then I'll re-record. Hold on.
When Pope Francis, with the help of two young children, released doves from the pontifical apartment on Sunday, the birds were attacked by a large black crow and a hungry seagull in front of tens of thousands of onlookers. The Pope had released the doves after asking those in the square to pray for peace in the Ukraine and for a 3-year-old boy who had been killed in a given death attack in southern Italy.
Did you all see the red and blue jersey that he was holding right here? Red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Given death attack in southern Italy last week. There's no word on whether or not the Pope's doves survived the attack, but it was certainly not a good omen for peace.
Certainly not a good omen for peace. These rituals that they're doing, family, are not working any longer. There's a rise of another that energy, that feminine energy that they're trying to keep subdued is rising anyway.
Yeah.
Because we are coming back into the knowledge of our science. And this is what this class is all about. The word Orev or Orave, upon the rock of Orave, it means raven or black, the black rock, or the black yoni. All right, this is what the rock represents, the black rock or the black yoni. All right, so the white doves not gonna work no more to counteract the rise of this. So in this scripture of Exodus 17:6, it says, "And thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, and that the people may drink." And Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel. A lot of hidden symbols in that. We're not going to go into detail decoding this. I just want you all to see the symbols in context. Now, Numbers 20:8. Take the rod and gather thou the assembly together and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock, and thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink. Now, if you're taking notes, write this down. Exodus 17:6. Write two words down next to that: lower and below. Lower and below. Then write Numbers 20:8 down and write upper and above. We're going to break this science down today, y'all. Y'all got to know your science. You got to know the fundamentals. You have to know how to apply it. Exodus 17:6 is referring to lower or below. Numbers 20:18, speak to the rock, upper or above. Smite the rock, speak to the rock. We're going to have to make a synthesis of these two complementary opposites. As above, so below. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
The divine creative reproductive power of the mouth. We're going to deal with the upper first. Directly corresponds to the divine creative reproductive power of the yoni. The divine creative reproductive power of the mouth is upper. The divine reproductive power of the yoni is lower. Upper does not mean greater. Lower does not mean lesser.
On Eitai. Go ahead.
Only from a dualistic perspective, hierarchical perspective, low frequency perspective. So I don't want you to think one is less than the other
Or greater than the other.
or greater than the other. In the beginning, however, was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him and her, and without him or her was not anything made that was made. Follow me now. A man's belly is satisfied with the fruit of his mouth. With the increase of his lips shall he be filled. That's Proverbs 18:20. What follows that, Proverbs 18:20, is Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. This is the glottis. It looks like a yoni. It looks like an eye, but it is the glottis of the larynx or the voice box. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
It is part, family, of your upper respiratory system. We see it open, closed first, and then open. Closed mouth does not get fed. So a man's belly shall be satisfied by what? The fruit of his open mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Are you all with me now?
Yeah.
I create the fruit of the lips. Peace, peace, shalom, shalom, to him that is far off and to him that is near, saith the Lord, and I will heal him. I'm going to show you all how to heal yourself, how to bless yourself, how to increase yourself, how to create abundance for yourself, how to make yourself whole. And again, this relates symbolically to the 13th letter, the Christ energy, the energy of creation, the energy, the power of emanation, and the power of ascension upward from emanation downward. And it begins quite counterintuitively with the closed mem first, and then the open mem. The closed mem only used at the end of a word, but we're going to begin with it. And it is symbolic of a closed womb, a womb, Nasik, at rest.
Right.
Energy, family, at rest. Calm, still, serene, whole waters. But then the Spirit of God did what? Moved upon the face of the deep, correct?
Right.
And created motion and duality. The open mem, never used at the end of the word, symbolic of an open womb. Walk with me now. So we see the open mem corresponding to the open glottis of the upper respiratory system, and the closed mem representing the closed glottis of the upper respiratory system. And we see the human head here, correct?
Right.
And the vocal cords. The vocal cords is not the entire organ of speech. The entire organ of speech represents the entire upper respiratory system, which includes the lungs, the windpipe, correct? The vocal cords, the nasal system, the tongue, the hard palate, and the teeth. Isn't that how we produce sound?
Yeah.
In the beginning was the Word, family. The Word was God. The Word was with God. All things are created like this, as above, so below. The power of life and death is where? In the tongue, which is part of the upper respiratory system, as above, so below. But the word is very nigh unto thee. Where is it at? In thy mouth, but also in thy heart. Speaking of desire, will, intent, and purpose. Why? That thou mayest do it. It's showtime. I'm going to introduce you to a Hebrew phrase that's called arik anpin. Arik anpin. It's actually Aramaic, and it means literally a long face or an extended countenance. I want us to think about it in terms of not an extended countenance, but the big head and the little head. the upper eye and the lower eye, the eye above, the eye below, the mouth above, the mouth below, the heart above, the heart below, the waters above, the waters below. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
The New Jerusalem comes down from where?
Heaven above.
Come on now. This is the basis of creation, fundamentals of creation. The extended countenance, the face above, the face below, the lips above, the lips below, the tongue above, the tongue below, etc., and so on, is an aspect, listen, Nasik, of divine emanation in Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm.
The mem represents emanation from stillness to activity into the physical realms. And then how do you get back? Activity to stillness. This is so
Right.
simple, family. This is so simple. It,
Invert and then you convert.
correct. We're gonna get to that now. See, it's identified with the Sephira attribute Kether, which has the word ether in it, family. Kether, the divine will, desire of the heart, purpose, or the intent. Everything began with the divine will. I desire to be dualistic, to be diverse, to fall, to see what that is like, to descend. And it is the same desire, family, that is going to allow us to do what? Ascend back up. This is why I instructed you to find out what the desire of your heart is. What is your intent? Why did you come down here? Are you all with me now?
Yeah.
Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Remember, we said that there was language that is more acceptable, and that language that is pleasing and acceptable, that sacrifice which is pleasing and acceptable, has to do with the vibratory emotion or feeling of thanksgiving continuously. We'll get back to that. All right. The heart of the wise teaches his mouth wisdom and addeth learning to his lips. Just follow me. Walk with me. A good man out of the treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good. An evil man out of the treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. That's death and life in the power of the tongue, death and life in the heart. All right? For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. For with that's Luke 6 and 5. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation, unto redemption, unto ascension. Romans 10 and 10. However, family, be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to just say anything. Why? For God, your higher self, is in heaven, and thou where? Upon the earth. We got to be wise, family. Therefore, let thy words be few. See, it says that the Gentile thinks that he is going to be heard by the abundance of his words. That does not please your subconscious. Flowery words, expressive words. What goes directly to the subconscious, which is the aspect of our divinity, is holistic, singular, condensed down, few, small, reduced, ma'at, words. This is our science. Can't ignore these sigils, Nasi. Can't ignore them.
Yeah.
Cannot ignore them. They're central. That's why they put it in our hands. Not for you to ignore them, not for you not to sit there and say, I don't know how to use them, but to use them to know how to use them. Did you know you could do that? Continuing on, we'll get to that. I'll walk you through it, I promise. To Adam Kadmon, the idea of the universe, the Kabbalah assigns a human form. I told you yesterday I had to teach you about your body, both energetically, holistically, and physically. Do you all remember me saying that? This is key. Again, the Arik Anpin means the extended countenance. It just means as above, so below, in respect to the divine emanation process. But family, it starts with Kether, the divine will. With Kether, the divine will. What I'm going to do is take these esoteric terms and apply them to the physical body as our beloved ancestors, our ancient ancestors, intended to do when they introduced this esoteric knowledge. So on the left, we see the Adam Kadmon, all right? You see, if you can look carefully, they have his brain exposed, all right? Do y'all see the line there?
Yeah.
It has his brain exposed. If you would be looking from a top-down view, you would see the two lobes of the brain in the crown of the head. All right? Is everyone with me?
Yeah.
In the middle figure, that's figure 25-1, I've shown you the upper respiratory system, which begins with the diaphragm, the lungs, you see it, the windpipe, the vocal cords, and then outward to the rest of the face that represent the upper respiratory tract. So it goes from the diaphragm to the lung, to the pleura, to the lungs, the bronchia, the trachea, the larynx, the pharynx, nasal cavity, frontal sinuses, sphenoidal sinuses, and all of the organs, the inner organs of the organ of speech, soft palate, the tongue. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
In the beginning was the Word. So, as above, so below. This all is going to correspond with the tetragrammaton and also, Nasi, the pentagrammaton. But we're going to look at the tetragrammaton first.
Okay.
And by doing this, we're going to go literally to the word Breshit. The word Breshit encloses the word Resh, head. Do y'all see the head here?
Yeah.
Do y'all see the head here?
Mm-hmm.
The letter Resh represents a head. The letter Beit, Reshit, represents a house. What does it say? That the body is the house of God, Bethel, correct?
Right.
Beit El, it's the temple of the living God.
Right.
So the head of God, I want everybody to point to the head of God right now.
Wow.
If you point up into the air,
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat you up soon as I see you.
Yeah, you got to do it.
But if you got your hand somewhere around your temple,
Right.
or pointing to yourself,
Right.
so the head of
Yeah.
God, as illustrated in the graphic above, is Adam Kadmon Shani, which is the symbol of the head of God, of your head.
Yeah.
3 points. I'm going to talk to you about the divine Trinity right now. 3 points, Nasi, first emanated, one under the other. Kether, Chokhmah, and Bina. And so far, listen, so far, family, there was no copulation.
Mm-hmm.
All this came into being, everything came into being by the divine breath, the word of God, the upper breath. Are y'all hearing me? The thought, now see, being the thought, which is mem sofit, at rest,
Right.
being put into action
Right.
by exhaling.
Uh-huh.
That is the upper breath or divine creative spoken word. Only we had not emanated into physical form. We hadn't divided yet at all.
Clear. Clear.
So there was no need for what? Physical copulation or union or
Right.
spiritual union or energetic union. It all came
Right.
from one place.
So, Eitai,
Yes, sir.
then that what I put in my document is that once you emanated into the physical, that created the necessity for copulation between man and woman to create.
That's correct. But that happened later on because we were in an
That's what I'm saying. Once you come
right.
into
Got it.
physicality, right?
Got it.
Right.
Yes. This is all
Yeah.
gonna make sense, family.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent.
So let's look at this middle graph. Now, see, because it shows when you look at the above two uh, figures represented mathematically on the left side, astronomically on the with the middle column, and then biologically with the column on the right.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna learn about our bodies. We're gonna learn
Mm.
about our bodies today, family, and we're gonna learn how to utilize them, how to synthesize them, how to combine our body, our entire being in the creative process. This is the straight path, family. So the head, family, and the upper respiratory system is represented by the yud and the hey in the tetragrammaton. Do y'all can y'all see that? The
Yeah.
the yud being the head and the hey being the arms or actually the lungs
Yeah.
and the diaphragm
Mm-hmm.
of the upper respiratory system or your upper creative system.
Right.
You have an upper creative system and you have a lower creative system.
Right.
But our understanding biologically is that we saw, even when we looked at the vocal cord, we didn't make no connection between that and the lower respiratory system. And it looks just like it. We made no connection between the opening of the mouth, no correlation, and the opening of the womb. Although the scriptures, we've been saying for years that the power of creation is in the tongue, that the word creates that. We've had that understanding, but no correlation with us.
No.
We left that all, we spiritualized that and
Sure
left it
did.
all to a God that was in heaven. So the Yud Hey is representative of and correlates and corresponds to the upper breath or the upper creative respiratory system. Does it make sense, family?
Yes, it does.
3 points first emanated, one under the other. Kether, which is the crown of the head, Chokmah and Bina. And so far there was no copulation, only the upper breath, the word of God, the divine creative spoken word. Follow me. So in the Kabbalistic tree, it is represented as first the the Arik Anpin, the Arik Anpin, Nasik, which is the circle with the dot in the middle, singularity, singularity. Then, as we descended, we're going to find out that this singularity became dual. Do you all see it? It is like a cell, a single cell going through mitosis. But afterwards, listen, the positions of Kokma and Bina changed so that they were no longer singular, but that they were side by side. Do y'all see them side by side? In mitosis, in duality. Now see,
I see it.
Kether remaining above. Kether remaining above them. And the conjunction of the male and female, Abba and Ima, father and mother,
Iman.
at points. This family, this is the divine trinity. This is you entering into duality. And as we can see, falling into more diversity. He from whom all emanated created Adam Kadmon, consisting of all the world, so that in him should be somewhat from those above and somewhat from those below. You got to combine those things in order to
Yeah.
get back, in order to create anything. You have to.
Gotta come.
So now see, at one point in the emanation, look, we became inverted.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what
Wow.
we haven't realized, family. And so that inversion, now see, it complicates everything, makes everything problematic. And
I mean, it's so it's so problematic that you can't have a conversation. In truth, you cannot have a conversation when an individual is profoundly, you understand, dualistic. You really can't. You can forget about talking with them
right,
because they're not going to rest until they submerge you underneath them and make themselves
that's right.
superior to you. I mean, that's the whole system.
That's correct. Now see, put you in a vertically, that's the energy. To put
Right, and they can't help it. They don't know, and they cannot see it. That's really profound.
Here it is now. So it says, he who from all emanated created Adam Kadmon, consisting of all the world, that is the universe as we know it, so that in him should be somewhat from those above and somewhat from those below. So you're going to have to unify, syncretize all things, now see,
Yeah,
in order to achieve a holistic perception and holistic thought and holistic creation. So this is how it looks. I'm going to give you all of this, all of this. So we should meditate on this. See, it's Yud, and then the two arms or the two legs, from whatever perspective that you're looking at this from. It's the Yud, the two arms, the Hey, the middle section, the Vav, and then the Hey. Or it could be the Yud, starting here,
right,
Hey, Vav, Hey.
right.
This is our science. This is what we got to meditate on these things, family. It is not from a dualistic standpoint. I know it is not readily apparent. We're going to have to meditate on these things, study them, and come to uh, gradual understanding of exactly what this means. We got to form a comprehensive picture of ourselves. Hence, I won't read that. Well, I will. Hence, in him was nefesh, listen, or psyche, anima infima. The lowest spiritual part of man is the soul, not the highest. It's the lowest point. Soul, S-O-L-E. Where is it? At the bottom of your foot.
Yeah. As far as you can go down, huh?
That's correct. From the word, now that's not negative, but it's just it's the proper perspective to look at this at, because we are at the bottom, family.
We at the bottom.
We at the bottom. That's where your soul is. You brought it with you, which is one. It's the lowest part of man, the soul, which is one letter Hey of the Tetragrammaton. Ruach, spiritus, anima media is the next layer of spirit. From the word Yetzirah, which is the Vav. That is the origin of the breath of life. Isn't that the area of the stomach?
Yeah.
Neshama, the highest spiritual part. You got Ruach, family, and Neshama, breath, the highest spiritual part. Mens or anima superior. From the word world Bria, which is the
Right.
other letter Hey. And Neshima, Le Neshima. Neshima, Le Neshima. From the world Absolute, which is the Yud of the Tetragrammaton. The Yud referring to the head, where you take in oxygen to use it through the mouth for speech. You inhale it. So it's the Neshima, Le Neshima. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
From the world Absolute, which is the Yud. Don't worry about having this make sense. Just feel it for now. Does it feel like it makes sense, family?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So we see in the lotus position again, the feet in the position of the genitals, both male and female genitalia. The male and female genitalia are one, family. They are one. They are not a separate thing. I'm going to say that again. The male and female genitalia are not to be viewed or perceived as two things. They are one thing, but two aspects of one thing. You see that the female genitalia, represented by the lowest of the sephira, is directly connected to the male genitalia, and the female corresponds to Malkuth, or the kingdom. Literally, the kingdom in the earth, or the kingdom, family, built upon the rock, the solid foundation. Are y'all with me now? Come on now. And the male genitalia erect above the female. Look how it looks like the male is sitting there, doesn't it? With an erection, going straight up. But those two things are one, but they have different functions. The male is the externalization of the female. Male comes from female. She is the root. The feminine is the root. Does everyone understand me? We're going to pause here and take questions. All right, if there's no further questions or comments, we're going to break this down into a form that is clearly understandable to us, and we'll know. We're going to begin to know, I should say, how our physical body corresponds, family, how our physical or biological body is in perfect correspondence with what we view as the outer universe. It is not the outer universe, it is the inner verse, family. Our physical body correlates directly to the energetic or astrological or astronomical inner verse, all right? And it corresponds mathematically in terms of dimensions within the physical world, the dimensions of the physical body, the measurements. Does it make sense? We're going to combine all of these three as well as all of the elements into one. This is how we're going to return. Everything must be combined. First, conceptually. Because everything that is derived from thought, from conceptual thought. And conception, family, is the beginning of creation, is it not? Conception is the beginning of creation. So we're going to have a proper thought and a proper perception rather, of ourselves. So again, to Adam Kadmon, the idea of the universe, the Kabbalah assigns a human form. So we are a representation, we are a physical and energetic representation in human form, of divinity in human form. Now, we're going to understand the Kabbalistic tree of life. And in understanding that, we're going to understand how our body is arranged. First, we're going to deal with the upper as above aspect of our body, which is represented by the upper respiratory system or the upper respiratory region. On the Kabbalistic tree of life, it is represented as Kether, which corresponds to the head or the crown of the head. In duality, the brain or the cognitive aspect or the intellectual aspect of man was unified. I'm sorry, in singularity and wholeness, it was unified, all in Kether. But as we took physical form, we said that Bina and Kokma, which was unified as one androgynous unit, split. That is, it split the second level down in each of the each of the three representations. It split and it became family from a physical standpoint, the two lobes of the brain, the two lobes or hemispheres of the brain. This is why it is difficult to have at this point unified thought, unified perception, and why it is difficult even from a lower socialistic or societal and cultural standpoint, unity between peoples, unity between the masculine and feminine, and agreement. This is what Nasik was talking about, because we are still under the effect of this dualism, and we have not yet what unified these things into a singularity as they were in the beginning. So the upper as above respiratory system or region is broken down from a biological standpoint as the cranium, that is the crown or the head, the two lobes or hemispheres of the brain, and then the two arms or the two lungs. Does it make sense? The lower respiratory I'm sorry, I didn't. The lower or as below, let me straighten that out. Respiratory and creative system or region I didn't finish this out. The as below, lower respiratory or creative system or region is represented on the Kabbalistic tree of life, which you are. The Kabbalistic tree of life is representative of you in all of your aspects. Tefereth is the trunk of the body, represented by the Vav. All right. Netzach and Had are the thighs. And Yesod is the male organ. You see it here. We just talked about it. Which what? Extends from the female organ, or the yoni, or the vagina, which is represented as Malkuth. And Malkuth, the corresponding complementary female organ of generation, reproduction, and creation. You cannot have reproduction, one without the other. So these two are one. Just the same way as above, these two, Bina and Kokma, are one in Kether, the crown or the head. So the upper head and the lower head. Yud is Kokma and Hey, Dina, Vav is Tifereth, and the last Hey is Malkuth. So I'm giving this to you because your understanding of this, the greater your understanding of this, the greater your reproductive and creative power. The greater your spiritual, energetic, reproductive, regenerative, generative, destructive, creative power. The greater your understanding of this, the greater your divine power. The greater your understanding of this, as you increase your understanding of these basics, know thyself, know thyself. As you increase your understanding of these things, these basics about you, you create your divine, you increase rather your divine magical power. You increase your divine magical power. The device that you have to aid you in this are the sigils, family, that the ancestors, they gave that to you early on, and recently. They gave that to you first before they gave you this knowledge. You can utilize those things, these sigils, to help you because you can speak, Nasik, an intent into your heart, which is your subconscious. You can call that power up to understand all of this by writing a statement. I am the master of the knowledge of my own body. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
I have perfect understanding. I have perfect and divine understanding of my divine creative power. That's another sigil you can do. Are you all with me? Now I'm going to show you as we close the correct method of doing this. And it's so, I'm talking about this is so powerful. I know I should be teaching this at the time. I introduced this to a friend of mine, and he has not, his work schedule will not allow him to be on the call, but his name is Waylon. All right. And I met him recently, but this young man is on another level. And when I was doing the Death and Da'ath series a while back, he was on the line and he was helping me instruct. His name is Waylon Westfall. All right. And a few days ago, I introduced him. Well, actually, it was more than a few days ago. Um, it was actually on. Let's see, when was this? It was on Wednesday, August 15th. Wednesday, August 15th, and I was showing him. I encouraged him like I'm encouraging you to um, watch the video about the sigils, okay? And to start to do them. So we had a number of conversations. Um, After that, and he emailed me um, on August 15th. He texted me rather, and he says, "I'll read it." He said, "Tried my first sigil today," and I said, "Excellent. Looking forward to hearing the results. Shoot me a pic if possible. Shoot, I want to see the work that he did." And he texted me back right back. I got some results already. He says average daytime tips on his job is $35 to $50. Good daytime tips are 65 to 75. He said today's tips were more than double that, $90. So a small thing, but it worked. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
And I said, outstanding. So he showed me the picture of the sigil that he did. And he said, I used graph paper to help invoke the idea that I was working outside of the box. I said, very nice. So I hadn't spoken to him, but we text back and forth over the next couple of days. And I saw yesterday that he had tried to call me. And then I'm working on putting this stuff together. Now you all know where I stopped. Uh, where we stopped yesterday was right here. Sigil power and the holistic expression and divine creative reproductive power. Let thy words be few. So the phone is ringing. I pick it up. It's him. And he says, look, I found out how to really how to really supercharge the sigils. And he told me about what we're going to talk about today and what I had talked to my Isha about the day before yesterday, how to supercharge these sigils, because that's when I found this article. And he was talking to me about going into this Gnostic state. I hadn't even talked to him. So this shows me, family, that we are right on time. This is the ancestors showing me, put this thing on view and show them how to use it. Again, sigil power, the power of holistic expression. Let thy words be few, the divine creative reproductive power. Now, this is family, speak to the rock. All right? I'm giving you that first. Speak to the rock. But again, one is not greater than the other. And later on, I'm going to show you how to touch the rock and smite the rock at the same time. The rock, Nasik, of Oreb, the dark one, the black one.
Yeah.
And we already told you that creation emanates from the black hole.
From the black hole.
In chaos magic, now this is the straight path, family. This is the straight path. This was, Nasik, the path that was used in Breshit, the beginning, where only the upper respiratory faculties were put into motion without copulation. This is holistic. Chaos magic, the straight path is holistic. I'll get more in detail about that. But this is what this is my thing. It's not left path or right path. It is the straight path to get what you want. You can decide later if you want to take left path or right path, if you want to, for whatever reason. But this gets it done quickly. Sigils are most commonly created by writing out the intention, your divine will, the desires of your heart, your purpose. Is everyone with me?
Yeah.
Then making your words few. That is, condensing the letters of the statement down to form a sort of monogram or a glyph. That is, making thy words few, diminished, or small. Does it make sense, family?
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing you your science. It's all throughout the scriptures. The chaos magician then uses the Gnostic state, daydreaming, altered daydreaming or an altered state, to launch or charge the sigil, essentially bypassing the conscious mind to implant the heart's desire, intent, purpose, or will in the subconscious. That's the only language that divinity knows or understands or will respond to. Not using vain repetitions, flowery language, thee, they, thy, though, thou, thinking that you're going to be heard through your much speaking. Not using dualistic expression, now see,
Right.
but using the holistic expression of a symbol, of a sigil. Don't you know that that's what we've been studying? This is how our ancestors speak in symbols, and that you have to decode these symbols in order to get your instructions. And so the reverse is true. As above, so below. You using your imagination, your own divine will to produce a unique sigil or symbol that only you understand.
Yeah, that's power.
That only speaks to you. See, we continuing now, see, making a mistake to think language, the divine language, is Hebrew or Aramaic or some other language. Like, that's still dualistic.
Yeah, tell me about it.
The language is the singular, holistic language that you create. I don't care if you do it with Hebrew letters or Greek letters or English letters, as long as it what communicates to your subconscious. This is it, family. This is our science. These rituals and things have been used against us. What do you think a logo is? It represents, Nasi, for a corporation or a baseball team or a football team. It is their intent, their purpose, their will, their desire reduced to a singular a symbol or a glyph or a monogram. Is it not?
Yeah.
And this is what has been affecting us and what has affected us in under the influence of the low frequency field of dominance. We got to recognize our science, family. We turned it against ourselves. And we have to activate the divine feminine, that is Sophia, wisdom, that is what? Lying sleep, dormant, in the rock, in the earth, in Gaia, in our lower regions, and to bring her up. You remember, we read that it's going to take the combination, her marrying her twin brother, in order for her to rise up in all of us, not just in the females, but in all of us. To quote Ray Sherwin, the magician acknowledges a desire, heart's desire, purpose, intent, or will. He lists the appropriate symbols and arranges them into an easily visualized glyph. Using any of the Gnostic techniques, he reifies the symbol. And this reaching this Gnostic state or this daydreaming state, you'll know that you've reached it. And what you want to do is you take the symbol, you lay it down, or you put it in your hand, and you focus on one point. But what you want to do, you want to see not just that one point, you want to see the whole sigil. And then your eyes will come out of focus. Do you all hear me? Your eyes will come out of focus, and it's almost like you're looking at two images or multiple images. And then to the point where you are looking through the paper almost. It seems like you're looking through the paper or the surface upon which it's drawn. Does it make sense? All while doing that, you are focusing on your intent. You can be visualizing or daydreaming about something related, an aspect that is related to an intent, something that you will be doing, something that you will be eating, some activity that you're going to be involved in, something you're going to be driving, somewhere you're going to be. That is the state of gnosis. That will, what is called, reify or charge or launch the sigil by force of your will, by force of your intention, by force of your attention. Because intention combined with attention energize where attention goes, what? Energy flows. That's how you energize. And it hurls it into the subconscious where the sigil can begin to work unencumbered, non-attached, or neutral by desire. That is why you throw that sigil away. You burn it. You burn it and become unattached by outcomes, because you're going to find out that the manifestation of your intent, that is, your will be done, being done in heaven as it is in earth, pulling that down from the New Jerusalem down from heaven to earth, pulling the Canaan land down, pulling Bethel down or Zion down, whatever it is you want to call it, that it is going to come the way that it's going to come. Don't try to direct it. That would be like you, Nasi, planting a seed in the ground.
Right.
And
Right.
you want to be unattached from it. Look, you've read the seed packet, you've gotten instruction, from a master gardener, and he says space the seeds, 5 inches apart. Have this kind of soil there, have this amount of area, space the seeds so many inches apart, put them so many inches down in the ground. You don't want to be attached to that, coming out every day and checking on it, digging them up and going through the process all over again. You got to become non-attached, neutral,
Non-attached. Right.
and allow them things to do what they do. Don't keep checking on them. When they come up, they're gonna come up, and you're gonna be able to identify. Oh, that's what I planned. Oh, that was part of my intent. Become non-attached. Let it work unencumbered by your desire. You're done with that particular aspect. Don't keep repeating it like that's going to make it manifest more. Do it. Make sure you've done all the steps. Forget about it. Burn it up. Become non-attached and watch it go. After charging the sigil, it is considered necessary to repress all memory of it. There should be a deliberate striving to forget it. Plan it and forget it. So we're going to stop right here and ask, are there any questions or comments?